Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the Show Low Planning and Zoning Commission for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. Our roll call shows that all commissioners are present. I'd just like to note that we do have a new commissioner with us. It's Jerem Lewis, and he's filling a spot that was vacated by Commissioner Bess, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Bess for his time on the commission. Commissioner Adams will lead us in the invocation, and Vice Chair Hefner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to join us, please stand.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to gather here today as a commission to represent our community, and we ask that thou would bless us with thy spirit, that we might be able to make good decisions that would be pleasing unto thee and that would represent the citizens of our community. At this time, we also ask a blessing over our lands and our homes, that we might be protected and kept out of harm's way from potential wildfires that could potentially happen. We also ask for a special blessing over our educators and first responders, that they might be kept safe and healthy and out of harm's way. We're thankful for all the many blessings we have, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
You join with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is old business, and we have no old business. Before we move on to new business, we do have some items of order that will be addressed by the Planning and Zoning Director.
Thank you, Chair. As you'll notice, I'm sitting in a different seat tonight. This is normally where the recording secretary would sit. However, we do not have a recording secretary at this point. I'm not exactly sure when we will get one. But we don't want to hold up the business of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we don't want to hold up the business of our citizens because of that. So we will be doing the minutes. However, we'll be doing them off of the video recording that is done by our city TV staff. Because of that, we need to ask the commission a couple items of business. One would be, please, if you've got a question or a comment, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. That way that will show up on the video much more clearly. And we can make sure that we attribute questions and comments to the proper commissioner with that. Secondly, and this is also for the chairman, but just general information, when we make a motion and a second, we do need to have the name of the motion maker as well as the name of the commissioner who seconded the motion restated by the chair. Again, that way we can make sure that we have that properly attributed or attributed in the minutes as we prepare those. So if we could ask the commission that indulgence as we move forward, we'd appreciate it. So thank you.
Anyone have any clarifying questions before we move on with the agenda? No. Okay, so moving on to new business. Item A is conditional use permit submitted by Thomas and Cecilia Archibek to allow for a two-space recreational vehicle park located at 3920 West Cooley, that being APN 309-46-009. Ms. Feckelkotter.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Thomas and Cecilia Archibek have submitted a CUP or conditional use permit to allow for a two-space recreational vehicle park or RV park located at 3920 West Cooley, that being APN 309-46009. The subject property is zoned C2, which is general commercial. The subject property is at 8,276 square foot in size and was previously utilized by KVSL radio station and is shown as an exception to the Fairway Park Center plat dated February 9th, 1976. Recreational vehicle parks require conditional use permit in the C2 district and shall be developed according to section 1925-210 of City Code. Each unit within an RV park shall have a minimum lot area of 1,400 square feet, in addition to a minimum of 500 square feet of recreation area per unit or 250 square feet if the recreation area is centralized. According to city code, usable open space is defined as space that can be enjoyed by people. This could include landscape plazas, grass and trees, fountains, sitting areas, etc., which is meant to provide an open garden atmosphere. Usable open space does not include required yards less than 10 feet in width, parking areas, vacant or developed lots, or any other space which does not contribute to the quality of the environment. A maximum of 5 RV spaces would be permitted for this lot, but it does not take into account driveways, parking areas, or required yards. Initially, the applicants had considered 3 RV spaces. However, they decided that the property would be better suited for 2 spaces. The occupants plan to occupy one of the spaces, which will act as an office for the park. The park will include parking and a 1,000 square foot common area within the subject property. The property will be fenced with a 6-foot tall wood fence starting 20 feet back from the street side property line. The applicant has stated that they will preserve as many of the surrounding trees as possible. In addition, the applicants indicated that they will do background checks on any potential tenants. Finding of facts: Thomas and Cecilia Archibek have submitted a CUP to allow for a 2-space recreational vehicle park located at 3920 West Cooley, that being 309-46009. Recreational vehicle parks require a conditional use permit in the C2 zone. The subject property is 8,276 square feet in size and was previously utilized by KVSL radio station and is shown as an exception to the Fairway Park Center plat, which is dated February 9th, 1976. Recreational vehicle parks require a conditional use permit in the C2 zoning district and shall be developed according to section 19.25.210 of City Code. Each unit within an RV park shall have a minimum lot area of 1,400 square feet, in addition to a minimum of 500 square feet of recreation area per unit, or 200 square feet if the recreation area is centralized. According to City Code, usable open space is defined as space that can be enjoyed by people. This could include landscape, plazas, grass, trees, fountains, sitting areas, etc., which is meant to provide an open garden atmosphere. Usable open space does not include yards less than 10 feet in width, parking areas, vacant or developed lots, or any other space which does not contribute to the quality of the environment. A maximum of 5 RV spaces would be permitted for this lot, but it does not take into account driveways, parking areas, or required yards. The applicant plans to develop a small 2-space recreational vehicle park on the subject property. 1 space will house an office for the park. Initially, the applicants had considered 3 spaces. However, they decided the subject property would be better suited for 2. The park will include a parking and common area within the subject property, which will be fenced with a 6-foot tall fence. The applicant has stated that they will preserve as many of the surrounding trees as possible. The applicants have also indicated that they will do background checks on any potential tenants. Current zoning of the surrounding properties includes to the north C2 general commercial, to the south R1-7, which is single-family residential 7,000 square feet in C2, and to the east and west C2. The current land uses of the properties include to the north vacant commercial, to the south residential, vacant commercial, and the Circle K convenience store. To the east and west is vacant commercial as well. Transmittal memos were sent to all affected agencies, and comments received include questions regarding materials used for the driveway and parking area, what easements, if any, are on the subject property, and recommends that if a 6-foot tall fence is utilized, that it be set back a minimum of 20 feet from the street side property, and the question of where parking spaces are located. After reviewing the zoning ordinance standards for review, findings of fact, discussions with the applicant, and because the request is consistent with the City of Show Low general plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve conditional use permit 602-04236 submitted by Thomas and Cecilia Archibek to allow for a 2-space recreational vehicle park located at 3920 West Cooley, that being APN 309-46009, subject to the following conditions. All development shall comply with submitted site plan and all applicable federal, state, and local requirements, including building and fire codes. All lighting shall be fully shielded from adjacent properties and right-of-ways. All driveways and parking areas shall be surfaced in accordance with city code. Any fence shall be set back a minimum of 20 feet from the street side property line. The applicant shall submit a landscape plan which meets city code. Landscaping shall be in substantial conformance with the approved plans and shall be installed prior to occupancy. Sidewalks shall be installed along West Cooley in accordance with Title 17 of City Code. All driveways and interior parking areas shall have a minimum width of 24 feet and shall be surfaced and maintained with a compacted aggregate base and surface reclaimed asphalt or material of equal or better strength and durability, which meets the city engineer's standards. And finally, plans for construction, including grading and drainage, shall be done by a registered civil engineer and submitted to the city for review and approval prior to the commencement of any site work. Staff, as well as the applicants, are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Steckelcotter. Commissioners, we'll start with questions for staff, and then we'll move on to questions for the applicant if we have any. Do we have any questions for staff on this item? Commissioner Barlow.
When was the last time that an RV park a conditional use permit was approved for C2 zoning in Show Low? I know that's a tough question. I just didn't know if it happened regularly or infrequently.
So I've been here 22 years, come July. This may be the first one I've done. So if it's not the first one, it's been a very long time since the last one.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Hefner.
So does this affect the other conditional use permit we just did in the adjacent property?
It shouldn't.
Okay.
It's a separate property.
Okay,
so
and they're aware of that?
Yes, we told
Okay,
them
okay.
of that, and they are aware. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, do we have any questions? Or Commissioner Lewis, did you have a question, or
I don't know.
you don't? Do we have any questions for the applicant on this item?
Just had one.
Commissioner Adams? So we have a question for the applicant. Would you please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please?
Okay, my name is Thomas Archibek, and what was the other address?
Yes.
We currently live at 2085 West Agrarian Hills Drive in Queen Creek, Arizona.
My question is the intent for this to be staffed and occupied year-round or seasonal?
You know, it depends on the tenant that we get. There's basically two lots, lot number 1 and lot number 2. Lot number 1, our intent is to put a park model on that property, and that will be used by us. And then the second lot, and we'll be up here throughout the year, and so we'll be occupying that, pretty much throughout the year. Of course, if it's like too snowy, we can't drive up, obviously, make it. But the other lot will depend on the lease that we get to occupy that second one. It's basically going to be used for additional income for our family. And so, I mean, best case scenario, we can get somebody that will stay there year long. Otherwise, it would be, I guess, like a seasonal type rental. But we don't want to do like a daily rental or anything like that. We're looking more long term.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant?
Can I ask a question for staff based on that?
Sure, yeah. Commissioner Barlow has a question for staff. Let her
So I guess my
approach.
question would be, as far as what in the city code, when it talks about an office for an RV park, is that intent of that for the office to be occupied if the park is open, essentially, and any other space is occupied?
That's correct. Like if there's any issues, who they can contact on site.
And so would the permit just want to make sure I say this right. Would the permit require that if the landlords essentially weren't present, that the park couldn't be open?
Or that they could assign somebody, say, assign someone to be a, a camp host or whatever,
Right.
that they could be a host for them.
Okay,
And
so as long as someone
yeah.
was present in the office
Yeah.
year-round, then the other spot could be available year-round as well.
Mhm.
Okay. And I guess I have one other question for staff. I know I'm going a little out of order. For the sidewalks to be installed on Cooley, are those going to be connecting to the highway, or are they just in front of the parcel in question?
So I want to say anytime there's development, we have a trails master plan, and so the plan is is to connect them to the the existing sidewalks that are in the area,
Gotcha.
and then also have it continue on in the rest of the neighborhood.
And so as part of the site plan required for the approval of this building permit, it would require the sidewalks to essentially go from the far property line to the highway to connect with
So
the
yeah, so
existing
basically,
infrastructure?
it would be designed according to the our land development code and the city engineer standards for sidewalks, depending on that type. I want to say it goes on the traffic, as far as the type of street that the type of sidewalk would be.
Right. And so because it said in here C2 zoning is 2 5-foot sidewalks on each side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be what we could expect from the site plan on this.
Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Or?
Is that correct?
So to clarify, when a developer comes in, they're required to do on-site improvements, which would include their sidewalk. We don't require them to go across their neighbor's property or across the street with additional sidewalks. So as those properties develop, then they would be required to put in the sidewalk. So at this point, you'd have a gap, but as the adjacent property developed, that gap would be filled in with the additional required sidewalk.
And so the sidewalk would just be the short frontage portion and would not connect to the highway?
At this point, yes. As the other property developed, that portion of the sidewalk would be included.
Okay. I guess I have a follow-up question for that. So how does that differ from the Navapache substation extension, where they had to extend East Cooley up the hill for their new substation, and they had to connect it from the existing road, including the sidewalk, up to their new substation? It feels similar to me, this type of thing where the parcel is off of the developed road. Would you agree?
So the difference between the two is the Navapache substation did not abut a city-accepted street. They had to construct a city-accepted street to the property in order to get the building permit.
Understood. Thank you.
In this case, the property abuts what's already a city-accepted street. It's just been in place for a very long time and
Understood.
predates our sidewalk requirements.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. That's helpful.
Do we have any other questions for staff or the applicant at this time? Otherwise, I'll bring it back to the commission for action. Vice Chair Hefner.
So I move to approve COP 602-04-236 submitted by Thomas and Cecilia Archibald to allow for a 2-space recreational vehicle park located at 3920 West Cooley, that being APN 309-46009, subject to staff recommendation.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Hefner. Do we have a second?
I will second that motion.
We have a second by Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, if I could interject.
Sure.
I may have missed it. I was writing some notes. Did we open it up to the public for comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, not on this item. I apologize.
Okay.
So could we open this up to the public? Was there anyone from the member of the public that would like to discuss this item? Yes, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
So before we do that, we may want to withdraw the
I'll
motion.
withdraw
in a second.
my motion.
Do you withdraw? Second. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Link, and I live at 720 North 41st Drive, which is in the development directly behind this proposal. And I struggle mightily with this, but I guess nobody should be surprised, huh? More trailers in Show Low? I worked so hard to try to clean up that neighborhood, which has a terrible reputation. So many renters who have been in the mobile homes that still exist turn out to have drug issues, legal issues. I feel that we don't need to have one of the main entrances to Fairway Park be more trailers. And this is, for me, a very sad thing to hear. I don't agree with this as being any sort of a forward movement or in the interest of the community that does exist there and the neighbors of mine that agree with me that the trailer situation should be something that we eliminate, not something that we call to the fore and put even more in. So I disagree with this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this item? Hearing none, we'll go through deja vu a little bit here, and I thank the Planning and Zoning Director for correcting me. We'll bring it back to the commission for action. But
Yeah, I'll move to approve CUP 602-04-236, submitted by Thomas and Cecilia Archibek, to allow for a two-space recreational vehicle park located at 3920 West Cooley, that being APN 309-46009, subject to staff recommendation.
a motion by Vice Chair Hefner. We have a
Move to second that motion.
second by Commissioner Roberts. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor as the motion was presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
One opposition. Otherwise, the motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is call to the public. Is there anyone here who'd like to address the commission on any other items that are within the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the approval of minutes from our last meeting, which was held on February 9th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Adams. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I think Commissioner Roberts beat you. So second by Commissioner Roberts.
Yeah.
Any discussion on the minutes? Otherwise, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that looks unanimous. So the minutes have been approved. Moving on to item 9, which is our summary of current events. We'll start with the commission members and with Commissioner Adams.
I don't have anything at this time.
Commissioner Roberts.
Obviously, we are currently in a very high fire danger period. We would like to encourage everyone to be aware of the restrictions that went into effect last Friday and be aware of what is allowable and what is not, as far as needing burn permits or not needing burn permits, what's allowable and what's not allowable. They're there for a reason. Those rules are there for a reason, and we're trying to do everything that we can to protect the community. I want to give a great big shout out to all of our public safety officials and the firefighters. We've had fires that have sprung up around us in the state, and everybody's been right on it immediately, and they've done an excellent job of keeping those fires under control. With the high winds, they could have gotten out of control. So just a word of caution to everybody.
Thank you. Commissioner Lewis.
Yeah, just like to express my gratitude and opportunity to be able to serve on the commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Hatch,
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Barlow,
Nothing at this time.
Vice Chair Hefner.
So I just want to, remind, along with Commissioner Roberts' comments about the fire danger, there's a lot less water out there. There's a lot of animals running around. Today I was just coming down White Mountain Boulevard. A car struck a deer right in front of Culver's and then stopped, and a lot of people almost ran into each other because they, so slow down, relax. We're going to have a lot of congestion this summer. So they say pack your patience. And we'll have some construction as well, so it should make it even more fun. So just relax and have a good summer.
On a similar vein too, I've seen a lot of accidents in town over the past few weeks. My wife and I call this right turn only season, especially when you're approaching the Deuce Club. So just be safe out there. There's a pretty bad accident that I witnessed on Sunday, on Mother's Day, in front of Safeway. That involved a helicopter too, so it was kind of scary. So be safe out there. I think it's going to be a very, very busy season, in addition to a lot of growth in our community as well. Director Tregaskis.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few items. First of all, for the commission, we have no items for the May 25th meeting. So we'll be sending out official notices and postings and things, but just giving you guys a heads up that we will not be having that meeting. We do plan on holding study sessions beginning in June. We know that there's some revisions to our code that need to be made. And then there's just some housekeeping things that we want to go over with you guys and see kind of what your feelings are, whether changes need to be made or not. Obviously, being summer, we understand that people have plans with their families and things, so we'll be checking with the commission to verify schedules and availability for those study sessions. I would like to remind the public that Show Low High School will be holding their graduation ceremony on Thursday, May 27th. If you drive down Old Linden Road between the hours of 4:30 in the afternoon and at least 5:30 and maybe 6, you may want to plan an alternate route. Last year, they did a processional that they felt was very successful. It allowed people who may not have normally participated in the graduation ceremonies to line along Old Linden Road and to show their support for these graduates. They've asked to do that again, so they'll be leaving from the Fools Hollow Park down Old Linden to Cougar Lane. They're going to be leaving probably about 4:30 in the afternoon. There's up to 185 graduates that will be taking part in that processional. So that's a pretty long parade of vehicles. So again, if you're planning on using Old Linden Road Thursday, May 27th between 4:30 and 5:30, between the high school and Fools Hollow, if you've got an alternate route, you may want to plan to use it. Otherwise, there may be some delays due to that processional. And then finally, for everybody who got a water bill this week, included in that water bill was a flyer for what we call Project Clean Sweep. This is the annual, kind of town cleanup that we sponsor here at the city. There's a number of events that are available at no extra charge to our property owners, beginning with green waste that's available. You can haul your green waste out at no extra charge. We also will have a week that you can haul material and debris out to the transfer station at no charge. We also have available where city public works crews will come by and actually pick things up from the front of your home. So for details, I'd just refer you to that flyer. There's a number of dates, number of things, please don't put out things like hazardous waste. We won't pick that up. But if you could just read that flyer, we encourage everybody. This is a nice place to live, and we'd like to keep it that way. So if you've got items that you'd like to get rid of, this is a great opportunity to do that, really with not a whole lot of effort and nothing coming out of your pocket for it. So that, Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. We've concluded our business this evening with no further items on the agenda, so we are adjourned. Thank you.